We're doing well. How are you guys doing? We're very lucky with our little one. He's just so busy. He's all over the place, and I mean, it's amazing. He's on our toes, but we're really just so lucky.
Why have you decided to launch this project?
We've all decided to come together and do it. I mean, truth be told, and I was in the UK for a few years until we moved back here. I didn't realize that there was a Black History Month in Britain. And so to have that brought to our attention was really exciting, I think, from a standpoint of everything that's going on in the world, but mostly just because it's about celebrating community. And really, if you're celebrating all of the individuals who are making an incredible impact within our community, then what a great thing to be a part of. To not only highlight those people that we either know personally and really find their work to be notable, but also to ask them to highlight who that next generation is, who those other people are. What it does is just really broaden the list of role models for young British people and people abroad, Black or white, or any other color for that matter.
You can only, we've talked about this before, you can only be what you can see. And I think you guys touched on it right at the beginning there, which is, you know, the UK is incredibly diverse, and London especially is celebrated as one of the most diverse cities in the world. Yet if you actually get out on the streets and you actually talk to people, I think it's not always it doesn't feel as diverse as it actually is. And therefore now is the best time for us to be able to use our platform, join with your platform as well, so that we can actually start a conversation and introduce people to the Black community that are making a massive difference within their own communities, but across the UK as a whole as well. So I think it's a month of celebration, and of course with a lot of other things going on in the UK and America and around the world at the moment, there can be parallels or connections to that. But essentially for us, this is very much a celebration of Black History Month.
And why is the project more significant now, especially with everything that's been happening with the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests across the globe?
For me, it's awareness and it's education and it's teaching. You know, I've had an awakening as such of my own, because I wasn't aware of so many of the issues and so many of the problems within the UK, but also globally as well. I thought I did, but I didn't. And this isn't about pointing the finger. This isn't about blaming anybody. This is just about using this opportunity this month, as I said, to introduce Brits to other Brits that they might not know about or they might not have heard about. And I think the power of community that comes from that is absolutely vast, especially for young Black men and young Black girls.
Well, and I think also what it does is just remind people of our shared humanity. And that's the takeaway. It's educational, but it's also really exciting just to find more people in the community that are inspirational.
Do you have any reflections on the Black Lives Matter movement in the UK in particular? And does being over in the States give you a different perspective on it?
It's a different movement. I think the impetus is from a place of recognizing equality. And if you just go back to its ground level of that, then I don't think there's anything controversial about it. You know, we had the fortune of talking to very early on this year when the Black Lives Matter, the racial justice movement in the US was coming to a head after the murder of George Floyd. We spoke with Alicia Garza, who's one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. And as she could reiterate, the impetus is really just about reminding people of your worth. And I think, you know, as we've seen different iterations of it, what has been inflammatory, I think, for a lot of people is when any version of a community becomes disruptive, but when there's just peaceful protest and when there's the intention of just wanting unity and wanting the recognition of equality, then that is a beautiful thing, actually. And so, you know, while it has been challenging for a lot of people, certainly in having to make this reckoning of historical significance that has gotten people to the place that they are, that's uncomfortable for people. And we recognize that. It's uncomfortable for us. And I think when everyone just starts to own that, we push through that and focus on how do we make it different moving forward. And if we just focus on the uplift and the positivity of that while still acknowledging the past, that's how we reshape things. And that shouldn't be inflammatory at all. That should be really exciting, actually.
There's not much to add on top of that. It was so perfectly said.
Right.
But
that's a hard question for us to answer, by the way.
There's a reason why we decided to do this with you guys. You have the most diverse readership across all of the newspapers. And by the looks of it here, but also from some of the material that I've read, you have a diverse workforce internal to the Evening Standard as well, which is not the same for others. So that is something to be celebrated. But again, there is, just because of that, there can be a bias that comes out of reporting, out of society, out of all corners of society. And again, that was something that I wasn't aware of, but it became very clear to me. But again, for me, this is an opportunity for people to learn, for all of us to learn.
And how did you choose the list of high-profile people to help you nominate the Trailblazers?
People that we know, people that we've interacted with over the years, people that have been mentioned to us by other people. Look, this job has a certain uniqueness about it, where we travel around the world, but we also visit all the communities, many communities within the UK, and the same names keep coming up, and we've been really just impressed, humbled, and inspired at the same time by these individuals, whether it's Doreen Lawrence or whether it's Neil Basu. These are people that are really genuinely making a difference. We spoke to Ashley Banjo a few weeks ago, straight after the Britain's Got Talent situation, and that in itself, I'm sure even just me talking about it will become controversial. But the reality is that he and his team of guys put on the most amazing display of how they saw, or how 2020.
My dog is just.
Come on, we had such a good chat with Ashley, and he was really strong. He felt great about it, but at the same time he was concerned because of the reaction. And again, it's not about pointing the finger. It's not about blame. I'll be the first person to say that this again is about learning what our part is in all this and how we can make it better.
When you happen to look at some of the names that the people from our list that we know, some of the people that they suggested is really exciting. So for example, Miss Anne had chosen someone who created the Black curriculum. And when you start to look at history books and what we're taught, to see it through a different lens, or at least see it through a diverse lens, will help shape how children understand where they come from and then to know better where they're going.
This is a cause that's close to your heart, along with many other charitable causes here in Britain. Is it difficult not being able to be in the UK at the moment to directly be involved in them?
Well, I think with COVID, my goodness, everyone has gotten accustomed to what it means to be distanced, right? And so the impact of that, whether it's across the pond or it's across town, you're still, for the most part, through a computer screen. So I think we've all had to adapt to how we can have the most impact and influence as possible within the constraints of what's happened with COVID-19. So
everything's been through video. Everything's been in a room somewhere. Yes. So actually, it doesn't matter where in the world that we've been. We've stayed in touch, and we've supported the organizations that we've been affiliated with as much as humanly possible.
Like all of you, we're doing the best that we can, and hoping that our passion and our commitment is still felt, because it certainly hasn't wavered.